What's up guys? 7:30 back to head to the gym in the evening. All day today has been battling with website development. Because I'm a bit new to a lot of it, some of the new back end stuff is like trebled in size since I last did one, so learning as I go and trying to stay nice and calm. Woosah!
Woosah! Woosah!
Woosah! Woosah, woosah, woosah. 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 Woosah.
Woosah!
Woosah. 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 Motherfucker!
It's a word I've used a lot today, but I want to show you my pre-workout before I go to the gym. My pre-workout carb load that I'm going to have before I go to the gym. So we have Warburton's Raisin Fruit Loaf. Each one of these is 20 grams of carb, no fat but raw protein. Then on top of it we've got half a banana spread over both, and that is then covered in a little bit of Walden's Farm pancake syrup. So you're looking at 20, 40, plus around about 50, 55 grams for with the banana on top. So kind of the perfect nice kick. I always try and get around about, say, 80 to 100 grams in right before training. And I tend to like to get that in a quick form. So because it only takes me, say, 10 minutes to drive to the gym. So I'm going to have that, that's around about 50, and then what I'm going to do is en route, and as I get there, I'm then going to load with 2 of these crispy cubes. Don't know why they call them a cube, not a cube, not even slightly a cube, like a rectangle. And each of those is 21 grams serving size, 15 carbs and 1.8 fat. So nice and low fat, high carb. So what you want before your training, low to moderate fat, and a buttload of good carbs, good quick acting carbs in there. Mix it up between some, some whole resources or good resources or organic resources, whatever you want to call it, with a load of a bit crappier but really fast and fun. Because what's life without a little bit of fun? Oh, let's see if you stay there. Can you see me? A little bit. So today, rather than doing like a montage like I've been doing on some of the stuff, I'm just going to film full sets, complete sets for you, and go through a bit of technique again. You guys seem to like that, so that's what I'm going to do. And training again with Mikey. Mikey was off last week, and to be honest with you, it was a heavy week last week, and it sucked balls. Big salty balls. Huge salty balls. My body was just knackered. Even when I hit kind of my levels I wanted to hit. Oh, I'm gonna move it. Even when I hit the levels I wanted to hit with weights and things like that, they just didn't feel connected. They didn't feel right. Yeah, it was just not an enjoyable experience last week in the gym. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I got there, and if you follow me on Instagram, if you're not, why the hell not? Lex_Fitness. Yeah, you'll see my post on Sunday. I just went in and all I did literally was squat and deadlift to doom. That's all I did. To make up for the week feeling shit, I just did 2 big compound exercises. I did them about 60 to 70% of my max weight, and I just did them well, focusing on technique, form, and just grinding them out and connecting through every set, just to make myself end on a positive and improve that technique, which is one of my goals anyway, especially with the deadlift and the squat. So that's why I chose those 2 rather than adding bench press in there. Plus I had worked my chest and everything. The upper body things, you can always get through those all right, but the huge compound movers, the big ones, like your squat and like your deadlift, you need to be connected with them. You need to be in sync with them, or they just don't move right, they just don't flow. So I'm sore as hell. It's Tuesday, and damn, I'm still feeling that workout. And even though I felt knackered and tired doing it, so sore, such a good benefit. So even when you feel shit, even when you feel like it's not in you, sometimes those workouts, they give you the best results, because you're in there pushing when it feels like you can't do more, and you're pushing through and everything's hurting, so you can't feel how well you're actually hitting the areas that you're training until the next 2 days after. It lets you know in the best way, of course. So what I'm going to do is, we're on a volume week, as we always do after a heavy week, and I'm just going to go through a couple of exercises, especially for triceps, that we've done recently that I've really enjoyed, Mikey's really enjoyed, and go through the technique and the points of where you should be feeling it and where you should be putting the load and things like that. So until we get there, you need to leave me alone, let me have my moment with the chocolate beauty. So we're back with Mikey, who I'd like to add drank so much over the weekend of beet herder. Beet herder. He made himself sick for a week and missed going to Spain. Spain? Yeah. No? Belgium. Home with the chocolate. Yeah, so no sympathy for him. And but he's back. Yep. Feeling alright. Not too drained, look. How much weight did you lose?
I don't even know. I haven't weighed myself. I don't want to know.
All I saw from the other lads coming in here was that it was him, a bucket in his room for a week. He even missed work. What's up guys, and we're back in the gym taking a look at a high volume session. And what we're going to look at today, more than anything, is little tips and tricks for form and technique that I like to apply when I'm training. It helps keep me on track, it helps keep me focused, and helps keep me balanced. That's the main thing. And as always guys, we're all about lifting and not shifting. So today you're going to see us train some back, some shoulders and triceps. Everything is done high frequency every week, regardless of whether it's a high volume, a heavy or contraction week. So that means everything is trained twice a week with 2 exercises per day that it's done, focusing on a compound and an isolation as a rule. Everything is done 25 reps, that's every set, and we do 4 to 5 sets, and that's pretty organic though. So if we're only doing 2 body parts and an accessory, those 2 body parts will have 5 sets each. If we're doing 3 body parts like today, then there'll be 4 or 5 if we're feeling really good. So taking a look at the lat pull down, a couple of things I want to go through here. One, you'll see our hand position is a little closer in. Now this is not a necessity, it's just a comfortable grip if you're feeling any tension on your biceps or your elbows from previous training sessions or anything like that. It keeps you a little bit more in line from your elbows through to your hands, and that can reduce a lot of the stress. It's quite a nice strong movement as well, and what you're looking for here is chest up, head neutral, a good arch in your lower back, and then you want to minimize body swing. Too many people swinging down and pulling with the body weight. That's not the goal. When you've got your hands on there, what you want to do is set your shoulders back and stop them popping up at the top of the movement, and you want to be pulling through with your elbows. That's the main thing here guys, is to remember not to pull from the hands. If you pull from the elbows, you're engaging the back much earlier. You're going to feel it more and it's going to have a better benefit. You also want to be taking a look at your hand position from left to right. Now if you're training with a spotter or a partner, you shouldn't be idle between sets. The job of your partner or yourself when they're on the set is to be looking at each other and finding improvement areas. Not criticizing fault, finding improvement. So one thing we noticed here when Mikey was lifting was the bar should be obviously straight across from left hand to right hand. He was slightly angling the bar, which meant that he was pulling one of his shoulders. In his case it was his right shoulder. He was retracting that shoulder a little bit more than he was the left. That's simply because his trap was coming and getting involved with the movement. So by noticing this, he was able to reset himself, he was able to feel that shoulder pull in when it shouldn't, and he was able to adjust and improve. That one little movement activated the right hand side of his back more than any of the sets previously. So it just goes to show that these little alignment issues that people have that they don't know about, they're not aware about, that you should always be looking for, are a huge difference maker. So really concentrate next time on this lat pull down from pulling from the elbow. Start the movement at the elbow. Keep your chest up and don't let the shoulders pop right up at the top. You'll see a lot of people kind of release the shoulder joint and let it come right, the shoulders end up right by the ears. Keep your chest up and your shoulders pinned back. I promise you guys, you will feel it twice as much as you have before. Moving on, we then did a little bit of a variation just to show you guys something different. So this is a standing low row on the cables. Another thing to note here, the handles we're using, we noticed that they were slightly different. One was slightly longer than the other, by maybe half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. But if we were to grip those handles at the base of each handle, one would be leading the other because it's slightly longer. So very important to always check that everything is symmetrical from left to right. So here we used an overhand grip. We were pulling from hands apart but closer together and then pulling them wide again. The hands are just meat hooks, guys. That's all they are. You're pulling from the elbow. Shoulders, see how my shoulders are staying back. I've got that arch in my lower back, chest up and head neutral. I'm not swinging through. I'm not releasing the shoulder joints. And you'll see that the hands, as I'm coming through, I'm pulling my elbows and I'm squeezing the shoulder blades together at the back. Pulling through from the elbows and then retracting with your shoulder blades. That's what you've got to be thinking every single lift. When it starts to get hard, don't start losing body posture. That's what happens, is when it starts to get tough, when you have to dig in, that's when you start to lose, but that's also when you're losing the progression of the exercise. So keep your form, keep your technique. And here we're looking at the hand positioning. So you see how we had our thumbs on the top. We're making sure that the thumbs are in line with each other. So we're gripping, and we're using a bit of forearm in there to use with grip strength because we're not using the end of the handles. And you can see we're keeping the elbows quite nice and close, pulling through, chest up. If you struggle with this and you tend to find that your shoulders are, you can't keep your shoulders pinned back when you're trying this exercise, the trick is to keep your chest excessively elevated, like cartoonize it a little bit. Really raise your chest up, and what that's going to do is automatically pin your shoulders back. If you keep your chest elevated, it's not going to allow you to let those shoulders pop forward. But other than that, this is a really nice movement. You should feel it right through the kind of upper part of your lat, right underneath and around from and behind the armpit kind of area. Best way I can describe it to you guys. But it's a really nice contracting exercise that you can control well, and you can kind of do it anywhere. It's easy. You can even do it with a T-bar row. It's the same theory throughout whatever you're doing. Moving on to shoulders, we then did something I wanted to show you. We don't do this all the time, but we do it on lighter weeks. You certainly wouldn't do it on a heavy week. But it's a 3-point lateral raise. Now you've got 2 side raises, one hammer gripped, one normal grip, and then a front hammer raise. The reason I like this exercise is because it forces you to control your shoulder position when the shoulder is rotated at different angles. So what that's doing is helping you learn to engage your scapula, keep everything held in place, whilst also working the front and the medial head of the shoulder. A really, really good exercise, and what we were doing here, we were doing 5 rotations of 3. So you do, obviously you do hammer to the side, then a normal lateral raise, then to the front, and that's kind of 3 reps, but one cycle of what you're going to do 5 of. So we did 15 reps, and then we had, when we did the 5-5 afterwards, what we actually did was then pick one of the movements and hit those for 5, rest, pick another movement and hit that for 5. And just to change it up, just to keep it fresh, and obviously whatever movement we picked previously, the next movement we did something different. So we started, just to clarify, the first 15 were of the 3-point movement, and then the 5-5 afterwards were 2 separate movements done in total. You'll see it on here anyway coming up. But talking about lateral raises and things like that, here's another thing I want to talk about. Again, it's all about this elbow positioning. When you're coming up with the weights parallel to the floor, your elbows must be higher than the dumbbells. You'll see this around the gym everywhere you go. When people do a lateral raise, the dumbbell ends up higher than their shoulder on a parallel grip. Not like I'm doing that with the hammer grip. I mean when the dumbbells are parallel to the floor. That means that you are taking the load away from the shoulder and putting it more on the bicep and the elbow joint. The weight must be below the elbow.
So it's the final set. We're only using 8 kilos. Look at the pain in our eyes.
I'm just saying, watch this. We're using 8 kilograms and look at the pain that you're going to see in our eyes. This is just to show you that with only 8 kilograms of weight, you can achieve the same as you can with 20 kilograms of weight if you are able to focus. That is what is really important here, being able to focus where that load should be going. So here, take a look on this one. So hammer grip, now as it comes up, see elbows are higher than the dumbbell, and on the front lift, we're keeping a slight bend in the arm, but we're extending the dumbbells out as far as possible whilst being able to keep the shoulders retracted and back. And when I say keeping them back contracted, I don't mean contract them as you would in a lift. You still must remain relaxed, and you should be able to just hold them there in a relaxed with good posture, chest up, nice soft knees throughout. That's always important, guys. Chest up and soft knees. So you're going to see me do the same final set now coming up. After having a nice little look at my high top CREWCast, or however the hell you say it. Super comfortable shoes, highly recommended, guys. But the thing about all these little things that I'm trying to tell you here, all the little touches, all the little nuances that go into these lifts, they're the difference between getting everything out of your training and only getting maybe 90% out of your training. It's the best way of thinking of things like this is a golf swing. You can get 2 guys that can stand by a ball, swing the club and look identical, but one of those guys puts that ball pinpoint down the fairway. The other guy hooks it left or right, yet that swing looked the same to you. But the guy who put it down the fairway, he had the subtle ability to adjust his technique to pinpoint where the power should be, where the drive should be, and where his body positioning should be. And the other guy who maybe hooked it a little bit off to the left or the right was only out by millimeters either way, but it makes a huge difference in the final result. Lots of little adjustments for the better will generate one big result, and I cannot stress how important that mind to muscle connection can be and how beneficial it can be.
Oh yeah. Baby.
Moving on to the rear delts. One of the parts that a lot of people neglect, but is really, really important for giving you that overall shoulder thickness, width, and look of size. Here we're using a reverse chest fly. You can also use this same motion on cables, using the cables in front of you, stepping back away from the cables and pulling across your body. You can also use dumbbells lying on your front, dumbbells kind of bent over forwards. Plenty of versions of doing this, but the trick is to make sure that you are hitting that rear delt. Now if you look at my rear delt, can you see it has a kind of look of a bear claw, the striations to it. You can see that that never goes away until I put the weight down. The moment the weight picks up, you'll see the striations come in and they stay even on the negative. That means I'm keeping the load on the rear delt the entire way through this movement. The things you need to do on this is relax your traps. Your traps are going to want to come in. Your head's going to want to go forward and you're going to want to pull your shoulders up. That's your body adjusting and trying to lift the weight in the most efficient way it can, but that's not what you want to do.
Set shoulders.
Keep the focus on the rear delt. Now the important thing is to keep the elbows nice and high. Don't let them come too low. You want shoulder height or a little bit higher if possible. Depends what kind of machine you use and what exercise you're doing for how viable that's going to be for you. But here you can just see the amount of blood we're getting into the muscle. When you touch it, you can see there's a white mark where I leave my fingers now. You can see on Mikey there, and that's letting us know. I mean, not only from a pump, you can see but the amount of blood that is getting to the muscle from the movement. And we have our hands slightly turned inward. It feels better to me. That's the way I do it. But just select your own hand position. Again, here, this is after the final set. You can see the pump. You can see how pumped that rear delt is, and look how much blood is in it. Watch in a second. Mike, I'm going to put my hand across it in a second and watch this. That's how you know you're getting blood to the area that you're working, guys. This is what I mean. Little things, little adjustments, they go a long, long way. So that was shoulders done, and on to triceps. I thought I'd show you this one. Looks like I'm making love to the machine. I'm not going to admit it, but I did. I made love to that machine. I got my gains. Yeah, so this is basically a variation of what you'll see a lot of people doing, but they tend to lump their body weight forward and they're pulling the weight with their body. Here, if you get your butt up against the machine and give yourself a kind of a center of gravity to work against, you take away all body swing and it is so focused. This movement is brilliant. Another tip on this one though, guys. You want to try and keep, see how my hands aren't really splitting outward too much. They're staying relatively even from the base of the exercise, which is coming deep behind the head, all the way through to the top. And my elbows, this is the main point. Look, the elbows stay in the same position. They do not drop down as a lift. What a lot of people do is they allow their elbows to drop. And what you're doing again is taking away the focus on the tricep by doing that. That's your body trying to bring shoulders and back and anything else that it can into the movement. If you have your elbows a little bit lower, they have to stay low through the exercise. If you have your elbows a little bit high from the start, they have to stay high from the start. Moving on then, we finished with some fat grip V-bar tricep extensions. Now this is a light week, like I said before, so you can afford to allow your hips to be a little further back than you would in a heavy week, and you can exaggerate the angle left on the arm as well. So what we're looking for here is a back which stays in a neutral position. I'm kicking my hips back and I'm extending fully. I'm fully extending the tricep, but what I'm not doing is pulling my arms all the way down to my waist. You can see how they finish in an outward angle. Why is this better? This is better because it stops you being able to put your body weight through the movement. So it's keeping the focus and the load completely on the triceps. This is a lot more difficult when you're using heavy weight, but it's still possible. Just be careful if you have a tendency to feel kind of elbows and shoulder pain. So here's the complete workout broken down for you guys. Try and just instigate a couple of those rules. Remember, lift it, don't shift it. If you can't maintain the technique and it's not feeling right, lower the weight. You will always make more progress lifting properly 100% than lifting adequately and only achieving 90% of your potential. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.
Ooh, okay, so I hope you can see me. It's a little bit dark. It's just kind of dusky here now. Just pulled up outside my mum's house. As some of you know, if you've been following me, you know that my grandfather has been in hospital. He had what I believe to have been a transient stroke, which is like it's not a full-on stroke. It's a smaller stroke that causes it can cause like a bleed on the brain and things like that, but it then dissipates. So he had a bit of time where he was unsure of who people were, where he was, and all stuff like that. It was a little bit scary, but he's had it before about 5 or 6 years ago, and he kind of came back round after 48 hours, but this one took like 2 weeks or so. So he's still in hospital now, but he's coming home in a week. He is completely back to normal. He's completely all back to life. He's got his little lists going, his little OCD. So that's great. Saw him yesterday. Took him a big bag of Werther's sugar-free, which he was happy about. He's eaten so many grapes he's gone off them. But I'm at my mum's now to help her take down a bed after training, so we'll see what my motor skills are like. But I hope you enjoyed that little look into the volume side of how I train, and the little bits of technique and stuff like that that I'm always looking at, little body positionings, kind of the feel through the bar, through the handles, whatever you're using, and making sure that the load points and your body posture and everything is set right. Because if one of those things is out of sync, then the exercise isn't at its optimum. It's not giving you its maximum potential. And when you're at a plateau point, those little things are what will break through your plateaus, because those are the little things that are holding you back and you can't understand why. And no matter how much heavier you go, if your form is off, you're still not hitting that area you weren't hitting before with the slightly lighter weight. So you're still going to plateau out, you're still going to remain the same. So it's really important. And like I did when I did the pain on the face parts of the reps, it was just to show that you can get that same intensity and that same pain and feeling and pump and exertion with 8 kilos like someone stood next to you with 28 kilos. And it's important to realise that this is all about control. And if you can't create a good kind of isolated, pinpointed, I don't want to say pain, but you know what I mean. If you can't focus the weight, focus the load with a lighter weight to a point of being able to make yourself fail with that lighter weight, how the hell do you expect to be thinking that you're doing it correctly with the heavier weight when you can't achieve failure with controlled failure with the lighter weight? You know, think about that. Think about that. Anyway, so also another thing. So I'm going to go in now. I've prepped because I'm coming to my mum's afterwards. So I brought one of these things that I've told you about. These meal in a pouch things. Eating my own beard. Moroccan chicken, this one. I like this one because it's with the quinoa, so it has the lower fat. This is literally only 3.3 fat per thing. So I'm going to eat this because what I don't expect to do is come to my mum's and expect her to have food in for me, because she's dealing with Pops at the hospital. She's dealing with, dealing with some of the properties and things like that she has. So, come to other people's houses and come prepared. And also, guys, right, for the new guys who are on the channel, welcome. It's nice to have you, but expect to see my protein stuff because I'm sponsored by them. And I'm literally going to go and eat this now. So when I show you things like tablets, pre-workouts and all that stuff, it's because I fucking use it. I'm not going to not show it you because I actually use it. So I'm not advertising shit. I'm sponsored by my protein. You know that. I've said that. So I'm going to use my protein stuff. And for those of you who don't know, I wasn't sponsored for years. And I actually had to go to the head office with my protein, sit down with them, make sure that they're all in line with how I like to be and everything like that. Because I'm all about just good quality stuff at a good price. I hate people being ripped off. So yes, you're going to see my protein stuff because I use it. You're going to see everything I use. If I use something from BSN, you're going to see that. If you use something from Gaspari, you're going to see that. I'm not holding anything, back. But this is what I have in my house. I have my protein stuff throughout the house. But I will have other bits and bobs because I do like other products from other people. Such as like the preset and stuff like that. It's just unfortunate you UK guys, you can't get it in it's only a Canadian brand, that, which is unfortunate. Hopefully they will branch out because they're amazing. So yeah. Let's just calm down. Calm down on the fact that you see my protein stuff. If you don't like it, don't fucking buy it. On that note, boom baby.